Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Welcome to Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Friends, we have another exciting guest on the show today. He's going to talk about an exciting project he has that's fun, he calls it tongue-in-cheek, and it's something that's very interesting. It's called the Political Parties Game. So welcome to the podcast.
Well, thanks for calling.
We're glad to have you. Let's get started first by kindly telling our audience your name.
My name is Errol Wilde.
All right. So can you please give us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch?
Sure. I'm a father of two, married, 36 years old, live in Ohio, and I've been playing board games since I was a baby, basically. I have a long history in board games, and especially in the hobbyist board games, which aren't very popular in America as of yet, but they're definitely coming up. And this is my first design. The Political Party Game is my first design I'm trying to get published.
Interesting. So you said the type of video game, did I hear right? Obvious, is it called?
Hobby board game.
Oh, hobby board game.
Yeah,
okay.
Games like Monopoly and Sorry and stuff like that doesn't really fit the bill. Those are more mass market games.
Okay.
But you will find games like Catan and Ticket to Ride in Walmarts and Targets these days. So it's definitely up and coming. And if you know games like that, then you know the hobby.
Sure. So would you describe this as a niche market?
Yeah. It's definitely more niche than the mass market games that people consider kids games, you know.
Sure.
But I'm definitely looking forward to getting this game sold in like Walmart and Target, because I think it's more. I mean, have you heard of like Cards Against Humanity?
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, it's more like that, right? Where it's an adult game for a large group of people just having fun around a table. If
Sure.
there's drinks involved, that is all the better.
So what does publishing a board game entail? How do you produce the pieces? Is that done in a factory? Do you have a prototype that you give to the factory? How does the whole process work?
The publishing part I'm not part of. I have made my own prototype for publishers.
Okay.
It's basically just cards, and what I do is I print out stuff off of my computer onto just like pieces of paper, and then put them in card sleeves, and I can take those and play with the prototype to test it out to make sure it's balanced and fun. And then once I am happy with that, which I spent the past like 2 years trying to make this game the best it can be, now I'm going after publishers to see if they want to publish the game.
Sure. So is it like book publishing where you... I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
That's all right. No, it's book publishers. There's like one book publisher that also does board games, but there's lots of board game publishers out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just came from Origins, actually, which is this giant convention for board games.
Oh.
And I was over there talking to a bunch of the publishers. I got in contact with like 30 publishers over the past 2-3 weeks trying to get my game sold.
So that's a networking opportunity for you.
Yep, it was a big networking opportunity. That usually it's just going down there having fun, but this was a whole different experience.
Yeah, 30, that's a good number. I trust one of those will work out for you.
I am, fingers crossed.
So where did you get the idea for this game? What was the inspiration process?
I'm constantly I'm making board games. That's just how my brain works.
Sure.
A topic pops into my head, I write it down and come up with a board game for it. And I've got like a bunch of ideas in a notebook or two or three actually. But one night I was just scrolling through TikToks, and I'm very into the political scene, so
Okay.
I have a lot of different I follow a lot of different political TikToks, and I was just in the middle of the night scrolling through it, saw a TikTok about politics. I'm like, you know what would be really fun? This game. And I came up with the entire concept for it in the matter of like 20 minutes and then refined it over the next 2 years.
Oh my. So kindly tell our audience what the concept is exactly.
All right. So I think the way it started was the TikTok I saw was about other countries and how none of them have two political parties.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, why can't America have more than two political parties? And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a freaking game about it. So the basis was I'm going to make a game about making political parties. So I have 5 different factions, and these aren't the parties, mind you. These are factions. They're like ideas. They're like what your constituents in the game try and make you push, the issues that they want you to push for. And the issues, the factions, if you will, the allegiances are environmental, technology, fire, food. Yeah, fire. Literally, it's just a faction that just wants more fire.
Okay.
I said it with tongue in cheek. Food and animals.
Oh, okay.
So it's all over the spectrum. Environment and animals, that's normal, right? People that push strictly for technology and fire and more food, that's not normal, but I make it work. So you get one of these roles at the beginning of the game, hidden, so no one knows what you are, and you're basically for one of the factions and against one of the factions.
Oh.
So say you're for the fire faction and against the technology faction, okay? So at the end of the game, after the issues are all passed, you'll get +2 victory points for the faction that your allegiance is, your affiliation, if you will, and then -1 for all of your opposition. So that's what you're trying to push is the one your allegiance, and you're trying to make sure other ones don't get passed. That is your opposition. And how that works is after you have your roll cards, everyone is dealt a hand of 5 cards, and those are your issues. And all of the issues have 1 to 3 different allegiances. It can be strictly environmental, or it can be up to 3 different factions. It can align with 3 different factions at the same time. So after you get your hand of 5 cards, everyone at the table immediately votes for a president. So it has nothing to do with any real purpose, because you're just doing it without knowing anyone's allegiances, without knowing anyone's cards. You're just doing it really fast. Pick that person for president. It's a strictly popularity contest. Welcome to politics.
Huh.
So that person's picked for president, and then that person will pick a number of chair people, 2 to 5 different chairpersons, depending on the number of players. This game plays 5 people and all the way up to 20. I've played it with 13. That's the most I've gotten around the table at the same time, and it is amazing with a high player count.
It is.
So yeah, that's why it's great for parties.
Oh.
But after that, the president picks the chair people. The chair people are the only ones that are allowed to create bills. And what they're going to do is, from their hand, they're going to place issues out onto the table, saying the issues out loud as they place them down. And these issues range from anything from orbital suppositories for whales to stimulus grenades. Like, they're all hilarious. I had one of my friends, who I deem a very funny guy, help me come up and approve the jokes on all these cards. And once those cards are placed out, then discussion happens, right?
Oh.
So the people are going to be discussing not only how they feel about the current bill as it sits, but also if they want to talk about other bills in the future, because there's going to be chair people. Everyone knows who the chair people are, right? So other people can talk to the future chairs and ask them if they would like to trade from the cards from their hand, because they have cards that they want to pass for their affiliations, right? But they don't have the luxury of creating their own bills because they're not the chairpersons of the bill. So a lot of negotiation, discussion goes in, a lot of backroom deals, because I know that you're this affiliation and I'm this affiliation too. So maybe we can come together and make a little bit of a faction or a party. And that's where the parties comes in, right?
Oh, okay.
You're actually creating political parties due to your political affiliations.
Oh.
Because in a 5-player game, no one has the same affiliation, right? Everyone has a different affiliation because there's 5 different factions, and everyone has a different opposition. The game is kind of push and pull. How much am I willing to give in order to get what I want? Whereas in the higher player count game, you can make these stronger factions with allies. And then I have been on the back end of this, getting stabbed in the back because you thought you were part of the group, and then they realize that you're ahead, so they kick you out of the faction.
Oh.
It's
like coalitions.
Yeah, it's absolutely. That's the political parties game. You make the parties, and you can break the parties.
Oh.
Because you're trying to win. You're trying to be the only one to win. Because in the end, only one player can win. But the biggest rule is you can't actually show your political affiliation to anyone. You can tell them. You can tell them what you are, but you could be lying. So yeah, that's basically the crux of the game. After I should mention, after the bill is laid out and the chairperson is happy with it, he'll call for a vote, which needs to be seconded by another player around the table. And then it's strictly majority rule. Players will put their hand out after the vote is called, and on a count of 3, they'll either put their thumbs up for a vote of yes, a thumbs down for a vote of no, or a flat hand, which means they abstain from the vote. So if the majority votes yes, the bill passes, and all the issues are put into the passed issues pile. If the vote is no, if the majority vote no, all the issues are put into the discard pile. And if it's abstained, it has to be majority yes or majority no. If there's not a clear majority of either yes or no, then the bill continues and has to keep on being amended until it goes to a second vote.
Okay.
Well, yeah, once all the chair people get their bills passed or failed, then it goes to another presidential phase where another new president is voted for, and the second president, now you have information, right?
Yeah.
The same president can't be voted for twice in one game. So now you have information on when everyone else voted, on how they wheeled and dealed. So you could possibly vote for a president that will make you a chairperson, that will give you some power. and you can use leverage as much as you want. I've had a game where people actually tried to offer real money, and I'm like, come on, guys, it's not that important.
They're taking it seriously.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun of it, really getting into the rules, you know?
Sure. So what is a win in this game? What do you consider a win?
So once the game's over, 3 presidents have gone, all the share people have gone in the last presidency, you count up the past issues, right? So you'll take all the issues that passed, and you'll lay them out looking at the affiliations of each of the cards. So the cards have colors according to the affiliations. So you basically just count the colors. And what we do is we have each person count 1 color. So there's only 5 colors. So like, for example, green is the color for the environmental faction, and orange is the color for the fire faction. So each person will count 1 color, and then they'll just say, orange has 25 past issues, and green has 15 past issues. So in that, the person that is orange and green would get 50 points for orange, and then minus 15 for green, right? So, because 25 times 2, because 2 points for your affiliation, minus 1 for your opposition, is 35. So that person would have an ending score of 35.
Okay.
And then if that's the highest score, that person wins.
So in your game, being president is not a win, it's more about the points.
Yeah, it's about the points. Being part of a party is just a political tool to get your way, right? To have more people vote your way. It's still one person wins.
I see.
Yep.
So when you said you had 13 people play, did you recruit your friends, or did you have a more formal recruitment process?
Both. Not the 13 people was just my friends. The biggest group I had with not my friends, like I've gone to other organizations and had people that I didn't really know play the game. The biggest group I had doing that was 10. It was 11, but one person had to leave, so it ended up being 10. And that was a great game, too. That was the game where I got stabbed in the back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, I didn't know the person. I didn't know how devious he was. So when he stabbed me in the back, I was shocked. When you know the people around the table, you can judge, like, all right, this person is just going to go for me. So I'm not going to align with them, even if they say that they're part of my faction, you know. I don't trust them. But when it's people you don't know whether or not to trust them. So I edge on the side of trust. That's just my personality.
Sure. So how long do the games typically take? Is it like Monopoly that it can vary greatly, or is there a general time period?
It's by player count mostly, but I haven't found a game that lasted more than 2 hours, even with 13 people. So it's under 2 hours. My game of 6 only lasted 45 minutes. So somewhere between there, 45 minutes and 2 hours, I'd say. Okay.
So in the video game industry, I'm wondering what it's like, how comparable it is to book selling, because in book selling these days with self-publishing, it's generally non-exclusive licensing. So you can sell it and then you can get to another platform that'll sell some of it and they'll take their share. So with your can you sell your game and also get it published by a big publisher? Or is it too hard to produce all the pieces, so you have to get it published by a big publisher? How does that work?
So there's many different routes you can go. One of the biggest routes these days is Kickstarter. A lot of people are just self-publishing on Kickstarter and seeing how well that runs. Some publishers even require it. Like, if your Kickstarter goes well, we'll pick it up, kind of a thing.
Like a test.
Yeah, almost. It's like a pre-order system. Oh, your Kickstarter ran good enough. We'll pick it up and keep on going with it. I am not looking for that as much. I want to sell directly to a publisher. Like I said, I've been steeped in the hobby for years, and I want to sell directly to a publisher right away. There's a lot of publishers that are doing similar things to this, like fun party games, and that's who I'm kind of courting right now, the party game market. So once you, and this is my understanding, which I've done quite a bit of research in, once you sell to a publisher, they'll have the rights for it for a particular amount of time or a particular number of copies sold, and then the designer, me, will get that money, the rights back after that time, where you can either resell it to that same publisher or court other publishers to get more, a better deal kind of a thing.
Okay. So it sounds like an exclusive license for a limited time.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Interesting. So who's the target audience for this game? What type of people do you think would be interested in this game, or have you found are interested in this game?
Well, see, that's the thing that I like about this game a lot. I think it's going to do really well is because not only do I think it'll appeal to the Cards Against Humanity crowd, which in general is more of a non-hobbyist crowd. They're more just like, I'm hanging out with my friends, I want to have a fun time. You're not really in the hobby, they don't know about hobby games, but this is being sold at Walmart, it looks fun, I can have fun with my friends kind of a thing. I think it would sell well to them, and it would also sell well to the hobby crowd because it's got really strong aspects of negotiation, bluffing, and risk management. And that is I made this because I wanted to play it, right? I didn't make it because I wanted to sell it to the mass market. I made it because I had 13 freaking friends over at one point in time, and I'm like, no one wants to break into 2 parties. They don't want to break into 3 parties, much less 2. So, like, a lot of hobby games only play to 4.
Oh.
So if I want to play my large friend group all at the same time, which they want to do, I have a very limited number of games that I can play. And most of those games aren't very deep. They don't have very strong mechanics. They're like Cards Against Humanity or just general party games where everyone's on a team. Don't get me wrong, Codenames, if you've heard of that game, is an amazing game that is exactly what I'm trying to do here, sell to both the mass market and the hobby market, where Codenames is more of a hobby game, whereas I'm kind of leaning towards the mass market game with this. But I think it'll really do well with both of the crowds.
That's good. And it sounds like it'll have a broad appeal.
Yeah, I think so. And everyone knows politics, right? So the main mechanism is voting. It's a really easy learn. I basically taught you the entire game just now.
Oh, that's good. So you don't think it's too complicated? People can understand it right away is how you see it.
Yeah. I mean, you know how to vote? It's simple majorities. That's exactly how it goes in both voting for president and voting for bills. The only thing that people will need to learn is the mechanics of like dealing 5 cards or dealing out the roll cards. You know, it's super simple in that aspect.
Oh, that's good. So earlier you were talking about how you've done a number of other games before this. Were the games similar in form and function and tone to this game, or were they completely different?
Completely different. I go everywhere. Like I said, whenever an idea strikes me, I write it down and I go with it. Like the other game I'm creating right now is a cooperative fantasy game where you're trying to fight a overlord trying to take over your city. So like it's completely different. This is party games is not something that I normally would try to make because it's not something I like to play very much, but I kind of wanted to make a party game because of the size of the group I have.
Oh.
And this is just, it perfectly fit the bill. One of my friends says it's it's his favorite game of all time, and that is such high praise.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it. So you said that you're on Kickstarter, right?
I am not on Kickstarter. No,
Oh, you're not. Okay.
I'm trying to sell this directly to publishers.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. You were saying that that's the way many people go.
Yeah.
But you're doing it differently because you're going the direct routes.
Yeah, I'm trying to sell it directly to publishers. I want to get my name out there. I want publishers to have my name as a normal thing. Like the people in the hobby know designers by name, and then
Oh, they do.
if this designer has made a new game and they love that designer, it's an instant buy, right?
Oh,
And
good.
that's kind of where I'm trying to be. And the best way to do that is with publishers because they're the best people to make your game.
Sure. So for our audience, since you say you're not on Kickstarter and you're selling directly to publishers, how can they support you in your efforts to advance this game?
Well, that's the great thing about publishers is not only do they have experience creating games, so they know how to sell to a market, right? But they also have the marketing.
Okay.
If it's a publisher that it's just like designers, the famous designers, there are famous publishers. And if this publisher makes a game, you pay attention because you trust that publisher because not only do publishers manufacture the game or get the game manufactured, but they also have like lines of producers that
Okay.
the producers take the game and they judge it, make sure it fits along with their line of games, and they alter it, fix it in a way, make it better. And while I think my game is great, I'm sure all designers think their game is already great, I trust publishers in their opinions, and I'm absolutely willing to work with them if they think, hey, you can alter this game, make it better by doing this.
Sure. That's good. You're humble enough to learn and change things if they need to be.
Absolutely. I have at least 10 publishers I could name outright that I trust, like, implicitly. Whatever game they're going to come out with, I will absolutely at least play it to see if it's my style,
Oh. Interesting.
Not, those aren't always the publishers that I'm trying to sell to because my game is, like I said, a party game, and I'm not really a party gamer. I'm more of a heavy, and this is going to be, if your crowd isn't a hobby gamer, they're not going to know what this means, but I'm more of a heavy Euro gamer.
Okay.
I'm not really trying to sell to the publishers that I would buy from, but
I see.
yeah, I'm still trying to sell to great publishers.
Sure. So what you're in, like if somebody's an author, they may be interested in reading fiction, but they might be a nonfiction author, so it sounds like that would be something similar, right?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So I found you through Facebook. So if somebody is interested in the game, they can go to your Facebook page and read about it and or contact you?
Absolutely, yeah. My Facebook page is the Political Parties game. You can search that up on Facebook, and that's Political Parties, not just party. It's like, because there's multiple parties in the game. So the Political Parties game, or you can search me up personally, Errol Wilde on Facebook. That's Wilde with an E. Are you going to link anything to your podcast, or are you going to spell my name, or?
I plan to, yes. So what you were saying,
Cool.
I plan to. I know where the Political Parties game is because that's how I found you. So I have that link. So
Awesome.
I hope I can find your personal link. If not, if you want to
I will
send that to me, then that'll
link.
make it easier, and I can make sure I get it right.
No problem.
All right. Errol, it's nice talking to you. It sounds like today we talked about something we don't talk about on here all the time, so it's good to broaden our horizons and educate us.
Well, it was fun. Thanks a lot.
All right, wish you all the best in finding a publisher and getting this game out to as many people as possible.
Me too. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care and all the best.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.